Welcome back to the Turf District for episode 98 of the Eskimo Empire podcast. I am your host, Andrew, and welcome back to the Turf District. We had to let that exciting game finish and see where we were ending in all of our pick'em and fantasy and all those other fun things. So sorry for a little bit of a delay, but hey, what can you say? CFL was on. That's a good reason to have a little bit of a pause. So welcome back. Glad you are back with us. Like I said, this is episode 98. We've got a great show for you. Before I forget, let's go right away. You can follow us on Twitter at EskEmpirePod. Follow us on the Facebook group and, of course, on our Facebook page. Instagram, EskEmpirePod. All those fun things. Find us on iTunes. Everywhere you can find your podcasts. Find the Eskimo Empire podcast. Now, let's just double check here. All right, let's go. Who else is with me in the room? Ooh. There we go. Let's switch straight over here. This, as always, is Superfan Mike. Pause first. Love it. That's very good. Yep. Thank you for fixing that. How you doing, man?
Good.
Excellent. We are excited. We have our. We announced today we have our Kwaku shirts ready.
We
to go.
do. They look great.
Yeah. Let's go to a preview here.
Let's look.
Whoosh. There we are. There is the preview right there. So Earth Kwaku t-shirts, you guys can pre-order them. They're $15 a piece. They are dry fit. We're just making sure when you pre-order that you get us the money, and then on August the 8th we will send in the order and then get you your shirt. Whoosh.
Whoosh! It's all about the whooshing.
I know, it's so much fun. I feel like I'm in a Harry Potter show as I do that.
Just like.
So yes, we will pre-order right up until August the 7th.
Yeah, it's gonna look good.
Absolutely. I like your choice of jersey here too.
Yeah, well, you know,
going a little retro.
Going to the late '90s with an outstanding linebacker, defensive end kind of.
Exactly. We have one of those here too.
We do.
We do. Who's here again?
Nose tackle.
Where's the pointing? There we are. Thank you. Hey, Jed. How you doing, man?
I'm good.
Good. How's the summer so far?
Oh, summer's been great. Like, I'm not coaching like I was last year, so I'm actually able to do stuff with my kids. My wife's not a football widow. You know?
That's a good thing.
It's been a great summer. Like, you know, the weather's been cooperative until today.
Yeah,
really.
Yeah,
but,
it's been really
we've
nice.
been doing lots of stuff, and we're going to K-Days next Saturday, so we're all pumped up for that. We got the Ride All Day tickets, and hit the barbecue, and it's going to be a long day. I'm going to have to do some stretching and stuff, I think.
It's good to be prepared.
Yeah.
Speaking of K-Days, this morning, all the Eskimos, of course, were Monday Morning Magic. Yeah. What do you remember about Monday Morning Magic?
That was a staple. Like, we did that every year. I know a couple of years ago there was a bit of a kerfuffle where they didn't go or something like that, and I was disappointed to see that, so it's good to see them doing that again today.
Yeah.
I actually went out as an alumni a couple of years ago, wore my jersey, and
nice.
I actually ended up seeing some of the same kids that I used to help onto the rides.
Oh, really?
And they were actually adults now, but and I actually carried one onto the ride. And, it's such a cool thing, when they close the park down. There's no waiting in line, and those kids that just light up as soon as they get in there, and it's fun. It's tough, I think, when you're playing and you're practicing and all that. And I remember being a player and I'd see some guys talk about, they would kind of resent it because it was like, oh, it's just another thing. But then as soon as they get there and they see how important it was to the kids, all that kind of melted away. I think the barrier, more than anything else, was the hour. It's just an early morning thing, right? A lot of those guys are used to playing Xbox all night long. So
sure. Didn't have Xbox when you were playing.
We were playing Sega.
Yeah, exactly.
Sega. We have to do the You're welcome, Jed. There's
playing Sonic the Hedgehog.
Oh, such a good game. I worked in a video game store when that game came out, and it was just like, we were
keep it on the shelf.
We were always playing it. Yeah, that, and then NHL came out.
NHL 94, 93. I'll tell you what, a buddy of mine is directing a documentary about that.
No way.
Yeah, Mikey McBrien, who from Air Pilots up in Northwest Territories. Mm-hmm. It's actually set to be released. He done interviews with all the top players like Chelios and all those guys.
Really?
Pavel Bure and all them. It's amazing. Jeremy Roenick.
Yeah, that was my guy on
that game. Right?
Everybody's guy.
They have a league now where they actually play using the old school Sega, and it's all and you can believe how good these guys are.
I can.
And he's always like, and I didn't get a chance to play him when I went up to Yellowknife up here, but he's got a system. He says anytime you want to play, he's really quite good at it. This guy Mikey, that's directing this. So sorry, I didn't mean to sidetrack the podcast.
Oh no, that is fantastic.
But, I mean, you've been around video games. That's an iconic game.
Yeah, absolutely.
NHL.
Yeah, NHL and PGA Tour golf, the very first ones.
Hours. I used to play all night PGA golf.
Hours and hours and hours.
I lost a lot of my life in that game. Lost a lot of relationships too.
Yeah. Good old what's her name?
Good old one. Yeah. So no console in your house now. All right.
No, not until Christmas. I think Christmas we're gonna get an Xbox One for the boys. Nice. They're getting old enough that they play Minecraft right now on their iPads and stuff. Yeah. So I think they're ready.
It's getting to that point.
And it's just in time for winter, right? And they can get kind of into it. But.
Well, and if you get Xbox One, the CFL game comes out this week that you can download and play, which I really need to work on that because it looks.
Well, it'll be for console for PC as well.
I know, so I'll be playing it in the Turf District. Yay!
Nice.
Chris Curtis had asked, one of your craziest moments that you had on the field when you were playing? And I know the last time you were here, you told the wonderful Nut story, but any other crazy moments that you remember?
Well, crazy. Did I tell the story about when we were in Shreveport?
No, not yet.
Okay,
so you have me intrigued.
Crazy. When I think crazy, I think funny. Some things that happened during the game. You're like, did that really just happen? We were down in Shreveport. Now I have to go back and I have to talk to you, give you some background on this. In '93, we had an American team come in. It was Sacramento.
Yes.
And then in '94, they added a bunch of different teams. Like I think they had a team in Shreveport, Baltimore, San Antonio. I think that came later after Sacramento.
San Antonio went
Las Vegas.
Las Vegas.
Memphis.
Baltimore, Memphis, right?
Birmingham.
And it was great. It was a really good, exciting time. It was necessary because the league probably would have found it if they hadn't had, because each team had to pay a franchise fee to get into the league, right? And so that's kind of what kept the league going. So with that background, all those teams had American players on them.
Yes.
Okay, so we were a Canadian team going down playing as all-American rosters, and it was a point of pride for us. We only lost, I think, 1 or 2 games. And won the rest of them pretty handily.
Yeah.
The 2 games that we lost, I think we lost 1 game by 1 point in San Antonio, and we lost 1 game by 1 point against Baltimore.
Okay, yeah.
Having said that, we were in Shreveport, and we were beating them pretty good, and I think it was the end of the second quarter, I think. And there was some big. They had the biggest O-line I'd ever played against up until that point, except for maybe Winnipeg, which had Miles and Chris. But they had a big guy that I can't remember his name. I think it's Ben Williams, and he'd been in the NFL. And this guy was easily 6'10", 6'9", 6'10". It was the biggest guy I'd ever seen on a football field before O'Donnell showed up here in Edmonton. And he was big, and he was just like, and he had the deep Barry Weiss white voice. You know what I mean? Like he had the voice you expected. You know what I mean? Like when you see a guy like that, you automatically in your head you're like, that voice is just gonna. And sure enough, it was right. So, so we're playing, and we're at the end of the play, and Larry Ruck. So you guys were talking about Ruck just damn near killed him. Right? So Larry had hit a player or something like that. We hit their running back, and then he came up and he made contact with this big Ben Williams, and Larry was maybe 6 feet.
Yeah.
If maybe 6'1", I'll give him. He wasn't as tall as I am, so he gets up and he looks all the way up at Ben Williams, and Ben Williams looks down at him and he goes, "Hey," and Larry goes, "What? What do you want?" And he goes, "Hey, if your mom had nuts, she'd be your daddy." And I started laughing so hard. I laughed all the way through the play and then off the field as I ran over to the bench. And I tried to take a drink of water and I spit it out. I was laughing. I laughed for at least 10 minutes after that.
Awesome.
And Larry was like, "What does that even mean?" That happened during the game. The second one.
All right.
We were. I think I told you the story about Giz, right?
Oh yeah, Which one?
When they called timeout.
Yeah, that one you did.
I can't tell that story again.
I get it.
But yeah, that was the second one. But that one actually happened before that down in Shreveport. But I couldn't believe it happened, and I couldn't focus. I was laughing. I was running down the field, and I was laughing. I was like, "That's the funniest thing I've ever heard on a football field." And I told Larry, and Larry goes, "I don't even know what that means." And I'm like, "Well, that's what makes it so funny."
When you had to turn around and go back up againt that guy, were you still laughing?
Well, I was laughing, and he was laughing too.
Need Randy Spencer doing that Barry White voice.
Exactly. Yeah, he's actually really, really good at that. Yeah. Okay, we just had an Empire question come across. What does Jed want to be most remembered for?
The fact that I overcame Steve Bodge to play. That was something. And that was, I'm going to tell you something. That come full circle on that. Because when I came into the league, it was a sore point with me. Like, I didn't want people to think about that. I wanted to be known as for football. But now that I get older, I realize the value of that and what that means to people. And when people see that, how... But at the time, I didn't want anything to do with it, and I separated myself as far from it as I could. But I think that football is about so much more than just the game, right? And I think sometimes when you're playing and you're right in the middle of it, you lose sight of that, And
of course,
because it's an ego thing, right?
Sure.
And your mind plays tricks with you when you're playing, and you see things in a certain way. But then when you get older and you look back, and you're like, man, it wasn't even like that. You know what I mean? Sure. So I say that. And I have to be honest with the fact that it wasn't always like that for me. I was always pretty quick to distance myself from that.
Yeah.
And then the other thing obviously would be, the off-field work I did. I was trying to stay active in the community, and that was very important because my dad made it very clear to me what an amazing franchise Edmonton was, and that at that point in time it was the flagship franchise for the league, right? The 5 Grey Cups were still pretty fresh in everyone's mind. I mean, when I came in here, it was only 7 years after that.
Right.
Kind of went down, right? When Low Warren had only been gone for 7 years. That's not like, that's a blink of an eye.
Yeah.
And they had just gone 16-2, and so Edmonton was the place to be, and it wasn't. We were going to the Petroleum Club, and you could order steak, fish, or chicken, and you could have done any way you wanted, and there wasn't any other team in the league that was even close to doing that, right? And so it was pretty nice. And if you got player of the game, they give you this pack of meat that was worth like $400 or $500.
Holy
so yeah,
geez,
I think I ate the whole thing myself. But they did really the team was pretty cool. Like they had things you could do things here that you couldn't do anywhere else in the league, and that was because it was so well regarded, and there was so much support from the business community, and the players were so visible in the community, and I wouldn't have anything in my life if it wasn't for this team. I wouldn't be where I am. So I'm very grateful, and I due in large part to the fact that the city's really a small town disguised as a city, right?
Yeah.
Everybody knows everybody, right? And if you've been here for any period of time, you're like, oh, you're from the north side? Ooh, boo,
Yeah.
You're from Strathcona, you went to Harry Ainley? Oh, you must be rich, so.
Right.
Everybody's,
you got it all down.
Yeah. And so I've been here since 1990, right? I made it my home, and I'll never leave. I'll always be here. I'll raise my kids here. I'll be, it's great. It's awesome. So being remembered for that would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
And and obviously I like the fact that I was a pretty good football player and consistent enough that I hung around for 13 years and managed to come back from pretty serious injury in 98. It just always seemed like I was always up against something and managed to put it into a pretty good career. So
that's wow,
and I get to do stuff like this, and there's no physical investment. Right? That's great.
The thing is, how many players can say they played 13 years for the same team?
I have to catch myself sometimes.
Can you pass me that? Because somebody just asked if I was going to tie you up and let you out of here. I was hanging a picture for crying out loud.
Nobody hangs pictures with duct tape.
That's it. Right? You do if you try to stick it to the roof right there. Anyway, that was now my CFL sign.
Right.
All right. Thanks, Jed.
Right.
Thanks for putting it
don't
out,
mind the
Jedi.
noise coming from the closet.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. I have a glass case. You're going to see it later. All right, that's how this works. Last thing I wanted to just talk to you about a little bit on here was I know you watch on Netflix. You watched Last Chance U, and it was on your recommendation that I watched season 1. I haven't watched season 2 yet.
Yeah.
But give us just a little bit of your perspective on that, because it is that second or third tier football, but they're kind of getting to that football. And some of the troubles these guys kind of going through, like you've dealt
people
with.
People say it's second and third here. It's actually at that level with that team in particular. What makes that show so unique is that they're featuring that particular program. Because if you were to take those cameras and go to, say, Coahoma, which is featured in season 2, or any of the other, like Delta, we actually had a guy from Delta in Winnipeg when I came in. So I mean those kids, there are guys that come out from 2 years and actually play pro sometimes.
Oh, okay.
And so when you say, you know, there's some pretty good football players there, and what usually happens, kind of similar to what you see in the CFL, you see some of the NFL guys get into trouble, well then they kick them up here, and then you see them come up here. So I think a lot of people regard the CFL in the same way, down south in particular. That's where some of those guys that, you know, got into trouble and then they come back, and like Ricky Williams, you know.
Of course, yeah.
But it's a 2-year deal, right? So you go in as a freshman and then you leave as a sophomore. So you're only there for 2 years, and that alone really makes it really unique. And so you don't have enough time to really build a culture with the guys because they leave so quickly. I mean, you get a guy in there for 1 year and you never see him again.
Yeah.
And there's no real loyalty, you know. So the culture is really, it's up to the coaches. And so you really see that in that show. It's really up to the coaches to kind of establish their culture. And the only way you can establish any sort of culture that it's meaningful is by winning games.
Yeah.
And there's a line in the second season where the head coach says, you know, everybody loves sausage, but nobody wants to know how it's made. And that's exactly,
love it. Yeah.
That encapsulates so well what that whole thing is about, because it's really, when you really pick it up and you start to turn over the rocks, it's pretty ugly, some of the stuff. Yeah. You know, some of the stuff that these kids went through before they got there, and they look at it as a way out. And let's face it, a lot of them don't make it. You know, and they get hurt, or they're not good enough, or they can't fit into the team mentality, and you know they've got their issues are just too much for them to overcome, and then they end up going back to whatever community they came from, and you know they're the guy that was like, man, if coach had just been a cooler guy, or you know,
exactly.
Those guys are a dime a dozen down in the States, and so that's one of the things that when it came out on Netflix, I'm like, finally somebody sees this, because we picked up a lot of JUCO guys when I was at Northern Colorado, and they're a different breed, man, you know, because they had to go through some stuff just to get there, and so a lot of times they're pretty they're older and they're wiser, but it's a trade-off because you only get them for 2 years. So they better be pretty good, because otherwise you're not going to waste your time on them, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but no, it's just really cool to have that perspective, and I can't wait to watch season 2 so that I can kind of catch up.
Yeah, I don't want to give you any spoilers. It's good. Like it's season 2. It's as good as season 1 in my opinion, but different in a different way. And when you get done watching season 1, we'll talk about it. Or watching season 2, we'll talk about it, because there's certain things. There's 3 things in that season 2 that I really wanted to talk to, like, people that have seen it. If I meet up with you, I want to talk to you about 3 things, but I won't tell you the 3 things since it's a spoiler.
Okay, I'll watch it, and then we will catch up.
Okay.
Thank you again for coming down for this. We're going to get right to the show here. I'm going to scan over here for a second to Superfan, who will be away this week for said game that is coming. I know you're very upset to miss Sean Paul.
I am very, very sad.
Huge Sean Paul fan.
I know.
He came in wearing one of his T-shirts. He's like,
I do love to get busy.
You know,
you know.
That's awesome.
I am very big in the dubstep community.
Yes, that's kind of what I figured. Yes.
Yeah.
And you will be away next week, so we are going to be taking our bye week next week.
That's correct.
And I'm going to be editing this week, so we'll hope that the show makes it out before Thursday. Let's hope for
we should have that points contest. How soon is he going to be done?
Absolutely. So yes, let's do the our other Empire Points contest that we were having.
Yes,
that was your idea. So I want you to tell everybody.
We came up with a fantastic idea.
Yeah.
Those of you that have listened to the show faithfully, or even occasionally, has heard as we come from our break. We have our Patreon jingle. It's already been typed into the chat in here. Andrew sings it every week. What we'd like to hear is your interpretation of the Patreon jingle. If you don't know, to get onto the podcast, give it a listen. Give us a video on Twitter. Tag us in it of you doing the Patreon jingle, and we're going to be awarding points for that. How many points, Andrew?
100 Empire points.
100 Empire points.
I know, yes. This is a good way to...
It's going to be a lot of fun, I think, and then we're going to put a little collage together at the end there to show off.
Exactly. And what do Empire points get you again?
What do they get you again? This beautiful game-worn rookie season Shamad Chambers jersey.
Yes.
Right after he switched to number 17. So that's just an absolutely fantastic prize. There's also a helmet from the 2010 Grey Cup that was donated by Dave Jameson. And some more things. We got some signed pictures. A lot of great stuff in this contest. So definitely want to get those Empire points. The top 10 will be entered into a draw at the end of the season where we're going to draw for these prizes. So definitely get as many as you can. This is a great way to get a lot of points.
Exactly. And yes, it is by video. So, because somebody was asking audio or video. So it's going to be a video.
That's right.
Because we want to see you guys singing.
We do.
Yay. All right. I'll back around. There we go. I'll flip that around there. Thank you. All right. Well, like I said, the show will be out Wednesday or Thursday. Kind of depends on how I get into the editing part of it. It's been a while. We'll see how I can do. Of course, the game is on Friday. It's at the Brick Field on the Brick Field at Commonwealth Stadium. I got to say that the right way. 7:30 start. So now, if you want tickets, make sure you visit seatgiant.ca. Use the code FIRETRUCKER, and you will get a deal on the tickets. We're very excited to have you guys there. Now, the tailgate is going to be a tad minimized due to the fact that Mike will be out of town. So I believe I will still be there, but probably not for the exact same amount of time, and I'm not doing the tent because I can't put that up myself. But we will be hanging out a little bit, and West of us should be going ahead, but I may be a tad delayed as the Empire Podcast was invited to join Len Rhodes in the presidential suite this week. So that's where I'm going to be watching the game from. So I'm kind of excited. So somebody was just asking, Fire Trucker? Fire Trucker is our edit for when we say bad words. So that's, yes, FIRETRUCKER. That gets you the... Can I spell that off my top of my head? Yep, that'll be great. So yes, the ticket location, somebody was asking if you want to buy those, seatgiant.ca. So it's SEATGIANT.ca. And all the prices are in Canadian dollars. So it's a great way. You can get all the football games, concerts, events, all your tickets right on there. Same code every time, Fire Trucker, and it helps out the show. So that's fantastic. Let's see, what else was I going to say there? Make sure I got that. Right. What else can I spell? EMPIREPOINTS. Empire Points. Make sure you're getting them. Share the show. All those fun things. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Like I said, the show will be out Wednesday with tons more with our favorite alumni, Mr. Jed Roberts. And we will absolutely talk to you then.